Warning. The following video contains strong language that some viewers may find offensive or disturbing.
What was your, this person is on another level of stupid, moment? Dude burned down his convenience store down for an insurance claim. And stopped the milk and bread deliveries the day before. He's too caring for the criminal world. Didn't wanna inconvenience the milk and bread companies. Going through security and the person says I need to show a different form of ID. I ask why because I gave them my driver's license. They say I need a US document like a green card or something. I'm a US citizen. Then I realized. I explained how District of Columbia is long for DC. Like Washington, D.C., as in the capital of our country. I got a bad grade in geography in high school. My teacher kept trying to push me and suggested I talk to my parents about it. I told my mom I was failing geography and she said, "How fucking stupid can you really be, Justin? How do you fail geography? It's just shapes. I'll never forget that one." Edit, thank you all for the upvotes. I've started sharing some of my true stories like this one and the Reddit community has been very nice to me. I really appreciate it. I'm an identical twin, and have been asked all manner of utterly ridiculous questions about it throughout my life. But I think the stupidest was when a girl once asked me, "Do you ever get yourselves mixed up with each other?" I responded, "Are you asking me if I ever sometimes think I'm my brother?" She replied, "Yeah, no, I don't." The time I watched someone who had missed their exit on the highway stop on the shoulder. Back up, turn around, and go up the entrance ramp. I could not fucking believe it. Edit, a couple of fun details about this incident to really highlight its stupidity. The next exit was a few miles up the road. Going to that exit and then turning around might have delayed their drive by 15 minutes tops. There was no traffic ahead. I watched this person do this as I was coming down that same entrance ramp to get onto the highway. I remember that my driver's ed textbook had an explicit warning against doing that. At the time I wondered why they had put something so obvious in there. Later I realized it was in there because lots of people do it. Back when the Fukushima nuclear power plant disaster happened, we were discussing how the reactor had failed in a science class. 5 minutes into the conversation a girl piped up and said, "I don't see what the big deal is. Why can't we just regrow it?" She dead-ass thought a nuclear power plant was a plant. I work for Parks Canada in Yoho National Park. I have been asked the question, seriously, where do you keep the animals at night, twice in my career. To this day I still find great joy imagining what they thought was going on each night as we collected every large animal in the parks. Watching a man try to open the locked front door of my shop while a bright red closed sign was literally inches from his face. He kept looking at the door like it was just stuck. Just going to leave this here. At one point I worked with some anti-poverty programs. Poverty can domino into a lot of other problems, including transience when young. You would be surprised to know how many people really can't read. It's true. I often get a lot of lazy customers who only scan the titles of menu items and just want me to read the rest to them. But every now and then, with certain folks, I've learned to spot when they simply can't read. Sometimes it's just the overly inquisitive manner in which they ask about obvious menu listings. Sometimes it's when I directly point to a list of side options list and they look at it, nodding along before looking up and asking what they are. Other times it's when they open with, "So, what do you serve here?" I can't use this, I'm left-handed. It was a fucking shovel and I was the idiot that thought a left-handed shovel existed. Edit, no, I wasn't trying to get out of working. I was literally that stupid I thought I couldn't use it. Edit 2, to give the story a little more depth. What happened was we were digging up the long jump pit and the shot put vector at my school to get it loose for the home meet. And when it was my turn to shovel, some upperclassmen decided to pull a prank and tell me that it was a right-handed shovel knowing I was left-handed. They sat back and watched the fireworks as I made a fool of myself. There was a girl in my high school who forced the teacher to pause a documentary about people living in mud huts in Africa because she was upset that they were showing us fictional movies in a history class. It took everyone else in the room to convince her that people actually live like that in some places. Wealthy area living for ya. We were talking about the Irish potato famine in college. And this one girl said, "Oh wow. I thought it was the potato family." As if that wasn't enough. She later asked, why were they so eager to get jobs? If I was that hungry I wouldn't even try to get a job. Man, I wish I was joking. Oddly she's so dumb she is smart. Jobs were net calorie drains during the potato famine. Many Irish died as they worked themselves to death. Also the food they earned went to their kids, so the work did save them. Bleak times. Also, for those who don't know, the famine was an artificial economic creation of the British, and not a natural famine. I was friends with a guy who believed those fake Apple adverts like Apple Wave, microwave your phone for instant battery charge. I was so dumbfounded that he actually fell for it. When I saw him the week after and he had a new phone, it all clicked for me. Summer camp counselor made all the kids on a school bus keep the windows up on a hot day because they could feel the air conditioning coming from the front of the bus. It was so hot and I, maybe 10 years old at the time, had to explain to the 40-year-old counselor that the air conditioning they were feeling was the wind coming in through the bus driver's open window. She still didn't believe me. I begged her to ask the bus driver to confirm the bus did not have air conditioning, but she didn't want to bother him while he was driving. It was like a 1-hour bus trip. She finally got hot enough and asked the bus driver if the bus had air conditioning. And he jokingly said, "The bus only has air conditioning when the windows are down and the wheels are turning." She then looked back at me and said, "See? I told you the bus had air conditioning," and proceeded to force us to keep the windows up. I had to explain to a woman that apples did not contain any gluten, meat, or dairy ingredients. How can one think apples contain dairy? She thought gluten was found in every major grain, and that apples were a grain because they have seeds. A friend didn't have coins for a vending machine but did have $1. She folded up the dollar and forced it into the coin slot and then did not understand why she did not get her item. For me, I had a concussion and was getting X-rays taken. They gave me a lead blanket to wrap around my twig and berries. I took it and wrapped it around me like a cape. I could not understand what they wanted me to do. How much is a $50 worth? She was the newest teller my boss hired. Will never forget that moment. I've gotta say, I've said some dumb shit when I first start a new job. It's easy to go into "I know nothing" mode while also being so stressed your brain stops working. Yeah, I guess. But a bank teller asking how much money a coin is worth was pretty concerning. It wasn't her first day. Even her first week. She was very dumb. "This is just the dumbest thing," she said. That wasn't racist. Not me, but a friend worked in a call center for a CC company in the disputes department. The number one item people called to say they never purchased. Interest charge. I worked at a restaurant and we had a dish that was just a whole grilled chicken, chopped into pieces. A woman who ordered for delivery called us. Absolutely scathing. Complaining that her order of one whole chicken only contained 2 chicken breasts. Had to explain to grown-ass woman that chicken only have 2 breasts. Edit, to clarify, the rest of the chicken was also there. She was just expecting more than 2 chicken breasts. She stated this clearly to both me and my manager, who she insisted she speak to over this inconvenience. I used to work with a girl who was sweet but so dumb. We were in a meeting once and somehow someone mentioned baked ham. My manager said, "Ugh, I hate ham. It looks like human flesh." The girl I mentioned was sitting next to me and looked horrified and whispered, "Does ham really come from people?" My friend is allergic to walnuts. One day, he made this sandwich in our college dorm. It had walnuts garnished on top of the bread. I then remember him telling me, "Oh look, there's walnuts on here," and proceeds to eat the entire sandwich. At the time I didn't know he was allergic. I leave to shower and when I come back there are 2 paramedics in our dorm taking him out on a stretcher. The following day I asked what happened, to which he replies something along the line, "I accidentally ate some walnuts which I'm allergic to. And by the time I went to get a Benadryl, my throat had started to close and I couldn't swallow it, so I had to call 911. I was just utterly shocked how he even let this entire situation happen. I really couldn't believe it. College days. Am I right?" Edit, he knew he was allergic to walnuts, but he's very careless, so it was one of those YOLO moments. Luckily I don't think he did that ever again. Ex-flatmate cancelled the gas and electricity contract because it was too expensive. Wondered why we had no more electricity nor gas. She thought we paid €90 a month to get a hotline 24/7 in case of problem. I got a concussion a while back. A friend of mine told me not to come close because it might be contagious. They weren't kidding. A girl in my school had gotten about 3 concussions within a year, and when she hit her head the 4th time and blacked out for a minute, refused to go to the doctor because last time they said if I got another concussion it could cause brain damage. So I'm not going to let them give me another one. Edit, because so many people saw this and are asking. No, she did not play any sports, she was just incredibly stupid and clumsy even before the first one. Rescued a coworker on the side of the road with a flat tire. Waiting for the tow truck. I pointed out the nail at the top of their tire. They scoffed and looked at me like I was the stupidest person in the world and exclaimed, "That's not true, BC, it's flat at the bottom." I just walked away and never brought it up again. I was once asked how it felt to come to the US as a refugee. "I'm from Germany." She then looked rather surprised when I told her that Hitler has been dead for 75 years and that Germany is one of the more liberal countries in the world these days. She full on thought I fled Nazi Germany. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification button. See you next time.